Hi, everyone in Eden's community. I am Jess Rappaport. I am the owner of Zelda Universe, which is the world's largest Legend of Zelda fan community. And I also created Zelda Wiki, which is the world's largest Zelda Wiki. If you've ever looked into anything Zelda or if you've ever done anything in the Zelda community, you have probably used one of my sites.
Hey, listen!
Oh my gosh, look at this. This is the fastest chat I've ever seen in my life. I love you guys.
That's awesome. Yeah,
This is fun.
W Jess,
W,
Zelda,
women.
W women in STEM
We're
learning
winning.
how to
Women are winning.
stream.
Did you actually know that I'm actually in STEM?
Wait, really?
Like my day job is in STEM.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm a professional UI UX designer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I've been doing UI UX for over 20 years.
Holy
So
shit.
that's why Zelda Universe sites look
Looks so
nice.
awesome. That makes
Yeah,
so much
that's why they've
sense.
got the best UI.
I was talking up the web design before because, as I mentioned when I initially reached out, I, as a kid, was a huge Zelda fan, but also really liked, paper strategy guides that me and my dad would look through together. And then when I had like the family computer, I discovered Zelda Wiki and Zelda Universe, and I was like enamored just going through everything because even if I didn't have the game, I was just so interested in how well cataloged the content was, how like accessible it was, and how well like put together it makes so much sense that you're a UI UX designer.
Yeah, it was also just a huge labor of love, I think at the beginning, like when Zelda Wiki was started, it was like we wanted to build a big Zelda encyclopedia. We always had this idea of having a project of having a Zelda encyclopedia, and it originally started just as the Zelda Universe Wiki.
Yeah.
And we just decided randomly one day, I just decided it's time to make this thing and just see how it works. And so we just like stuck a wiki up there, and I spent like 2 years at the
Wow.
first 2 years of the site, like begging people to edit it and like writing basically every article on there myself.
When was this?
This was in 2005.
Wow.
So this was from 2005 to 2007. I was 15 when I started. So
Holy
in
shit.
2005, I was 15. I'm old, okay?
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean
to.
to say it like that. I just meant like
No,
you started
I'm the
so
one
early
saying
on
it.
this
I'm the
project.
one.
It's clearly a labor of love. Like it's so cool that was it just you working on it as like a passion project?
At the beginning, it was me. A couple Zelda Universe forum members were contributing, and I would literally like I said, I would go around the forums. I had a thread dedicated to Zelda Wiki, development. Well, I mean Zelda Universe Wiki development.
Yeah.
And I would just literally was just like tagging people like, guys, can you just help me edit this? I need like people who know Ocarina of Time. Because at the time I hadn't even played Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I didn't play Ocarina of Time until last year.
Wow, really? That's crazy. Did you like it?
Did I like it? Okay, do we start with the spicy opinions, or do we wanna
could ease into
everyone
them.
first with my good opinions?
I think we could ease into the spicy
Like-
stuff, but if you want to tease.
If I want to tease, okay, I'll say that I have thoughts about Ocarina of Time, and I have them. I've been thinking about them, and they're in my head. The thoughts, they're there. They're there. I have them.
I have a lot of
And
thoughts
if I
about
say
Ocarina of
them-
Time too, to be honest.
But if I say them out loud, honestly, I own it. I own it.
That's
you
fair.
Can, you can already get an idea for what I think. But like, I like the Zelda games that are mostly focused on the story. I guess should we introduce ourselves first to our respective chats before we get too deep into
Oh,
it?
sure, yeah. I hadn't even thought of that. Sorry, I was just
No,
getting
that's
into
fine.
it. You want to go ahead?
I know. All right, yeah, I'll go first. So hi, everyone in Eden's community. I am Jess Rappaport. I am the owner of Zelda Universe, which is the world's largest Legend of Zelda fan community. And I also created Zelda Wiki, which is the world's largest Zelda Wiki. If you've ever looked into anything Zelda, or if you've ever done anything in the Zelda community, you have probably used one of my sites. I also created Zelda Maps, which now is defunct given the latest announcements
app.
from Nintendo that you're going to be able to the app. They're doing maps on there. They copied me.
I
They
know.
copied us.
Well, I was gonna say
they
too.
copied us.
I don't think Nintendo's the only one. I think Zelda Wiki and Zelda Universe kind of have this like bridging. What's the word? This like they're the bridge between like old school 2000s like web forums, like Web 1 stuff, and like what we have now, which are the kind of diverse Fextra Life style like Dark Souls wikis or whatever. They kind of exist for every individual game. I feel like a lot of that is taken especially from Zelda Wiki in the way it's like organized, the way stuff's laid out. I think you really like pioneered a lot of that stuff, and the community aspect too. Like it's merging those those two things, especially if you said, I mean, you started in 2005, like definitely over
Yeah,
time
it was a lot of it was really deliberate, and I
yeah,
think it set the standard for a lot of wikis, after that. So in 2008, I did a big pivot, and I rebranded the Zelda Universe Wiki into just Zelda Wiki. There was an issue in that many other smaller fan sites were also creating their own wikis, and
yeah,
there were just a lot of wikis out there with duplicate content. And, I saw an opportunity there to just make it a lot easier for everyone to just combine them all and have one that would be able to actually have the traction to take off. And so I just reached out to all the other Zelda community owners, and we ended up forming, and this is totally real, by the way. We ended up forming a like secret group. Like we ended up forming a cabal, like a, what is it, what do you call it,
like a Zelda
a
committee.
yeah, or no, what is it when you have a cartel?
A cartel. That's awesome.
We formed the Zelda fansite cartel. We formed the Zelda webmaster cartel. It was called the Order of the Stone Watchers.
That's
We had our
awesome.
own secret, we had a secret message board, and you could find, back in the day, if you looked on any Zelda fan site, you would find the special upside down Triforce with a Sheikah eye in the center. That you would find that symbol on their site, and that was
That's so
our
cool.
secret symbol. So cryptic. Nobody understood that our
Yeah,
secret society. There actually was a Zelda Illuminati. It
that's
totally
so
was.
cool.
So me, Zelda Dungeon, like fucking, I mean, literally everybody was a part of it.
Wow.
Oh yeah, so now I need to create the trans cartel. So every trans creator, we now must get ourselves together, and we're making the trans cartel.
It's
Are you
funny.
are you in?
Oh, I'm in. I'm in. I accept my
Happening.
invitation secretly.
Yes, it's
We need like a
happening.
logo we could
Just a
stamp with.
secret. No one knows. We need
What
what?
What's funny is that I don't know if you've ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. They towards like the
Like
later
the
season.
cartoon, I assume. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of my
yeah.
favorites of all time.
Oh, for
Of
sure.
all time.
I forget what it's called, like the Lotus Society or whatever. All old people know each other.
Yes,
I've
the
always
Order
thought
of the
that
White
about.
Lotus.
Yeah, I've always thought that about trans people.
The Order of
Every
the
trans
White,
girl
Blue,
knows
and
each
Pink
other.
Lotus.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I've basically just started like getting into the trans, like at least Twitter community
For
more
sure.
and more
Yeah.
lately. I've been making an effort to like go and actually say hi to everyone in the community, and the one thing I've learned is that literally everybody like already knows each other.
Yeah.
It's crazy actually just how much everybody, all the people on Twitter, they know each other. They've met up. They
Yeah.
like it's
And everyone has
something.
nothing but
It's
nice things
something
to say,
else.
obviously. Excuse me, obviously. It's like
Yes,
a very
everyone only
wholesome,
has
very
nice things to
welcoming
say.
community.
It's incredibly nice. Everyone is just incredibly nice. It
Totally.
actually, it actually is true. Most people are incredibly nice that I've met. Honestly, everyone I've met has been dope. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's just my experience so far, though. Who knows? Whenever you get deeper into a community, I'm sure I'll uncover some gossip one day, and then we'll have the
It
Jessica
happens.
Trans gossip hour. Oh. But it has been really interesting that like I'll meet up with a friend in Philly. I live in Philadelphia, and
That's
I've
awesome.
been meeting up with like other Twitter trans folks who just live in the area, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I was just in LA hanging with maybe Rain, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh dang, like she's dope, I know her. It's like, dang, it's just so small. It's a small community. Can you
For sure.
join the community? Yes, everyone can join. Everyone can join the secret council.
It's true.
It's incredibly secret, but everyone can also join.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't tell anyone that you're in it, you're not allowed
You
to.
can't
You
talk
can't
about
say.
it unless you're
It's like
permitted.
yeah, no, but no one is permitted.
But yeah, I mainly wanted to talk just about, I mean, I'm super interested in like the history. We're already going into it. It was
Yeah.
really cool.
I have so much lore. The
That's
lore
awesome.
is unlimited. We could spend 100 years talking about the last, I mean, Zelda Universe. I have been running Zelda Universe now for 21 years. This is my
Wow.
21st year running it.
That's dedication.
And
I really respect that.
yeah, thank you. But I wasn't the founder of Zelda Universe. I actually joined as a member and like worked my way up, and then the original creator sold it to me when he wanted to go off to college.
Yeah.
There's a much longer story from that. Actually, like that's like the extremely short version.
Right.
But the longer version is that it switched hands a few times between like website traders who didn't really care about the community. And
Interesting.
then I had to, get a ton of money in order to buy it back from them so that like actual fans could own the site.
That's really good of you that you
Um,
did that, though.
and yeah, and that's why I will never get rid of it. It will come with me to my grave and then be passed on to another fan probably. We'll see.
I
But
mean,
like to
it
me,
is like a
like
baby
Zelda
at this
Universe
point.
has to be fan owned.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's literally. Well, I mean, my tenure is old enough to drink, and the site itself is 2001, so it's 24 years old.
Wow.
So yeah. It's Zelda
Old baby.
Universe can go drinking. It's truly a baby.
What you said? So you said you only played Ocarina of Time last year. What was like the Zelda game that really got you into Zelda then?
That was Wind Waker. Wind
Understandable.
Waker was the first Zelda game that I ever beat. So I started doing this when I was 5. No, oh yes, I started doing everything when I was 5. I get that reaction a lot now. No one would have ever said that to me pre-transition
I get
because
that.
pre-transition, I feel like I looked like a 40-year-old dude. It's like I love that like my timelines kind of break people because they
Yeah.
look like they're in the wrong order.
No, I
You know,
I
you were
think your
trying to.
timeline's really inspirational, honestly.
Thank you. It's definitely been I mean, we could talk about that also later. Is just like it's been a really great journey, coming out and having the support of the
Yeah.
Zelda community. I think the Zelda community has always been really LGBT friendly. I came out for everyone. I came out publicly in March 2023, so just about 2 years ago. Now I've been transitioning for over 3 years because a lot of people ask, like, I haven't had any surgeries or anything. I've just been doing hormones and like being healthy. So it's been an amazing journey, and I've been really privileged to have the support that I've had from the community and my
Yeah.
family and my friends, and because of that, I really like to share the privilege I have, and give support to other trans people, and that's why I stream, is to basically have a positive and supportive space where trans people can get that level of support that they wouldn't get if they can't get it from their family, or even if they can, just it's just a kind of cozy place where we're all just very positive about our transition and support each other and also help each other be successful with our transitions. I think is the number one thing. Like,
That's awesome.
the way I think about it is when I started transitioning, I had a lot of really nice cis friends who would give me clothes and they teach me makeup and they'd be my big sister.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And it's like if I can be like the big sister stream and I can, be that for people.
Yeah, like solidarity.
Exactly. So that's kind of what my streams are. I just talk for hours about whatever.
Well, I mean, obviously you
But
have a
yeah.
ton of knowledge on things that trans people are obviously like commonly into, like Zelda and gaming and
Yep.
Avatar cartoons. I'm assuming stuff like that. Like
Yeah, Avatar I used to watch and rewatch like
that's
100
awesome.
billion. I've probably rewatched that show more than any other show. I'm very excited for the new stuff that the team is
Yeah,
making. They're working on like
I'm,
new
I'm thinking
Avatar
about that.
stuff.
It's interesting,
The
right?
Korra was okay.
Korra
Korra was
was
okay.
alright.
I liked Korra, but
I wanted to like it more than I actually did.
yeah, well, the thing that I wanted to like about it was I was hoping that the narrative would span the whole 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's what it
And
was, right?
yeah,
The
and then
serial
it was a
villain
different.
just didn't hit with me.
I didn't like that. Yeah, I wish it was just one. Oh, was there 4 seasons? Did I literally
4.
forget an entire season? Is that how forgettable it was? Oops. Um,
Okay, sorry, my furriest chatter wants to know about furries in Zelda. I don't know what that means,
um,
Hank. I don't know why you're asking that.
furries in Zelda. Are the Rito furries? Are the Zora furries? So are the Zoras scalies? Is that what? No,
Slimies?
our lizard people are. Yeah, wait. Yes, they're
Wait.
furries. Now we know about furries in Zelda.
Yeah. Gorons? Rock furries?
Gora are. Wait, is that a thing?
I don't know.
Rockies?
Rockies?
Is that like okay? Would you say that Reggie Rock is a Goron
Yeah. Kind of.
because she is like a sex icon.
Reggie
Low-key,
Rock?
yeah, like cunty Reggie Rock. Like is that what it is? Wait, I gotta look this up.
This one?
Cunty Reggie Rock with a handbag. Yeah. See, is that a furry? Is cunty Reggie Rock with a handbag a furry?
I'll find. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, exactly. See, exactly. There. Now you've seen. I think that,
So
I think so.
you said Wind Waker is what really got you into Zelda.
Yes. So
What
yeah, I
that was like probably when it came
sorry.
out.
Yeah, a little after it came out, actually. So I think I played it late 2003. Actually,
Oh, okay,
when did
yeah,
it come out in the US?
like
Wind
2001.
Waker US release was actually March 24th, 2003.
Damn,
So
I'm way off.
yeah, I know it came out a lot later. I always keep thinking 2001, but you know what
Yeah,
came out in 2001
Mario Sunshine.
or 2000 was Majora's Mask.
Yeah, it was 2000, I think. That's one of my favorites.
That came out in October 26th, 2000.
Wow.
Also, it's 8 p.m., which means usually at 8 p.m. I always take my HRT at
Oh,
8 p.m. So
nice.
while we're chatting, I'm actually gonna literally take my progesterone while we're chatting.
Let's
Because
go. A
listen,
reminder to all the
one of
other
the most
chatters.
important things in your transition, if you want to have good results, is you gotta take your medicine on time. Like
Consistency.
that is so critical that you do it on at the same time all the time. Do not miss doses. Like you gotta like your body expects it. They're specifically formulated so that you take them at these times and your body gets used to it. So if you miss doses or you're inconsistent, you're not gonna see the as good results. And a lot of people, I mean, there's genetics involved. There's so many other things
Hmm.
involved in the results that you get, of course. But the best way to maximize what you can get is to follow the medicine schedule. And like I feel like when I started transitioning, at least like like I was literally living for doing this transition right. I couldn't possibly be more motivated to accomplish anything else in my entire life.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, the maximum that I really just need to do to crush this is take my medicine on time, be healthy, and it's honestly, it sounds not that difficult, but I do know that a lot of people, they don't take the medicine on time. They don't, that's
It's
like,
not always easy.
that's all that
Yeah.
yeah, it's not always easy.
I mean, that's good to know. I didn't know how important consistency was, honestly, personally. I haven't
Hmm.
even started HRT. I only came out like a few months ago,
I
and
saw, for some reason, I thought you had been out way longer. I feel like we followed each other for longer than that. So
I think I followed you for a while just because when I found out you were trans as like one of the like founders of and like the main person behind Zelda universe, I was like, oh my god, like it like rattled something in my head. I kept having moments like that, right, where like you see someone that you would have never expected. One of I don't know. I mean they're already out. Tofu Ghost is trans femme, a fellow streamer of mine, a friend of mine, and I
oh,
told
what
her
up,
before
Tofu
I came
Ghost?
out, Ghost with a zero. When Tofu came out, I was like, holy shit, like anybody can be trans, huh? Like and she's beautiful. Like I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying like like it was the last person I expected, and I was like I told her I was like that you're amazing for like doing this as like a public streamer already. It was I think it was someone that like I share a space with directly, right? I'm like, oh my god, like it's possible to do it as a streamer. It helped me a lot, and you were one of those people too. Just a wake up call, like oh my god, like
That's awesome.
a person is like so like a person that like I didn't even know that well. Like I didn't follow people who owned wikis or whatever when I was younger, but I was like on the website all the time, and it was just that kind of feeling is very specific. I guess it happened to me a lot. Anyway, my point was I
I mean,
wasn't on
that's
HRT
also what
yet.
that's kind of what got me to start also.
Yeah,
Not only that, but to realize that I was trans was like, there's always someone you see that makes it click that this is possible.
yeah.
Like for me, that was actually Finster back in the day before he had come out as gender fluid.
That's funny. Yeah,
Before he was
insisting on
doing
he
like
him.
porn content. He
Mhm.
was just doing cross-dressing and stuff. So I felt that, when I first discovered him, when he wasn't doing the presentation, he didn't look super feminine. And it was
Right.
really all the techniques that he learned that made the presentation work. And I saw that and I'm like, dang,
It
like
doesn't. It's not
I could do
impossible.
that.
Yeah.
I could 100%, it's 100% possible to do it even without any hormones or whatever if you actually put the time and dedication into doing it right and learning and you really go all in, like you just lock the fuck in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 100% possible. So like I mean, and I was also lucky that it was kind of during the pandemic. So I didn't have to go out and like I didn't have to boy mode because I didn't have to go anywhere.
Right.
So
Made it
like
a little
yeah, so
easier.
I was able to like basically go full time immediately, and like that sort of immersion, just is like the number one best. Like the more time you spend doing your presentation, the more time you spend like learning. Like I do think that like I would even say like the majority of transition is really like social transition for me, at least. Like that's
Yeah.
been my priority, mostly because like my personal priority in my transition has been to kind of blend in and assimilate into just like female culture and
Yeah.
life, which also means that like I would say like the majority of my friends are actually cis, because I guess 99% of women are cis. So it's like I don't know why I always like think weird about that, because it's like a lot of the trans friends I have do like mostly have trans friends, but I also think
Yeah.
it's really helpful to have like a lot of cis friends,
For
because
sure.
I feel, yeah, more like I'm just a part of the culture, and I absorb the same things that they're absorbing, and they're just my friends. It's like
Yeah.
that's just how it is. But oh, I don't know I forget where I was going with that, but you get it.
No, totally. Has it? Do you think Philly's like an easy place to be trans? If sorry if that's
Yes.
yeah.
I think it really, that's another thing that I've been really lucky. And I know we kind of ADHD'd off of Wind Waker, so we will get
Yeah.
back
Sorry.
to we'll get back to Wind Waker, I promise. But I do think like being in a liberal area,
Yeah.
especially like a sanctuary city like Philly. Philly has a number of things that I think are really amazing. The first is that it has a very gay culture.
Hmm.
Like right in the city, there's an entire neighborhood called the Gayborhood,
Yeah.
where the crosswalks are pride flags.
Right.
And everywhere you go, it's very supportive. Like from the very beginning, even before I would consider that I passed or anything like that, I would go out, presenting femme, and I would get gendered correctly, no problem. It was
Yeah.
totally fine to be out. Like, it was never a
That's
big
awesome.
deal, actually. Yeah, and then the other thing that Philly has going for it is the access to care,
Yeah.
to gender affirming care, because in the city you have University of Pennsylvania, which has a big hospital, big research hospital.
That's awesome.
And that hospital does everything in house, all their labs.
Super
It's all
convenient.
right. It's all right
Yeah.
there, and they have an entire gender affirming care department. So it's like, when I go there, I have a gender affirming care specialist who manages my whole transition and ensures that I'm getting, the best results. They've literally saved my life before,
Wow.
by monitoring my blood. I think that's another thing that I always talk about, is like the importance of getting blood tests when you're on HRT, because people often don't think of HRT as dangerous, but it most certainly is. It is totally dangerous if you are not testing your blood. And I actually had an experience where I did almost die
Oh my gosh.
on HRT and had to be switched off to a different medication. And it wasn't something that I would have ever thought to check if I was doing like DIY or something. I definitely,
Right.
if I had been doing DIY, I would currently be dead. So I think like just getting regular blood tests and being very
For
diligent
sure.
about it, so important, but also making sure that your levels are okay. A lot of people, they want to have like more and more estrogen or something, especially if they do injections, but more
Hmm.
estrogen doesn't mean better results.
Not
And
always.
it can
Yeah.
actually mean worse results. But having it like at the right levels is, I go for, what is it, 100 to 200 picograms per milliliter
Hmm.
is my target. Yeah, extra estrogen turns into testosterone, so yeah, there you go. Yeah, so
Well,
I
yeah.
think
Thank you for that.
yeah,
I
these
was
are things that
curious.
not a lot of people know, because they're going for, euphoria.
Hmm.
But I think like one of the best ways to get euphoria is to do it properly, so you get results that
For
change your
sure.
body in the way that you want, right? So it's tough, because a lot of people do like looking at like that estrogen number, and they're like, oh, I could have like 700 estrogen. It's like, you don't want that though.
For sure.
You don't want that.
I mainly asked also about Philly too, because I'm here in Nashville, and it's not the worst. It's worse than like I used to be in LA. It's not the same. There's laws in place. There's tricky stuff. Doctors are a little more careful, but it's still a liberal sanctuary in a red state, at least. I mean, Philly was red in 2024, or Pennsylvania was red in 2024. It's red in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But sorry, not to talk too much about politics, but yeah, just I wanted to know if it was like a good place to be transitioning, and it's cool to
I
know that.
I think it's a wonderful place to transition. Yeah,
Yeah,
I honestly do tell trans people like Philly is a great place to move.
yeah,
I mean, there is a vibrant trans community here, and it is a lot of people do know each other, which is awesome,
yeah,
and everyone's generally really great. But just the access to care and the acceptance, with everyone,
for sure.
is so amazing. The last thing I'll say is, the informed consent here. Obviously, we're in America, we have informed consent, but
Hmm.
here it was so easy for me to get HRT. I think I went to Penn Medicine a week after I started transitioning.
Yeah.
And I started transitioning the moment my egg cracked. I didn't have an egg phase. It was like
Sure.
I realized I was trans. I immediately saw how possible it was, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have these feelings if I wasn't trans. Let's go. Like I mean, life is short. I don't
For
have that
sure.
much time. I've
Yeah.
got to do it now, or I will, or I mean, I do also say that it's never too late. But for me, like it truly is never too late. But I don't know how much longer I have in life.
For sure.
And I'm not willing to take the chance that if I don't have that much time, I gotta transition, but like and spend the most amount of time in my life being myself as possible. Not to get like too deep.
No, I appreciate it. Oh shit.
That's driven me a lot in my motivation to live. Oh no, your video for okay, cool,
Okay.
your video's back.
Only for a second. I think we're
Um,
okay.
Only for a second. Okay.
Got storms in
I was like,
Nashville.
dang. I started getting deep, and then she's just staring into the distance.
Sorry.
But no, it's fine. But like that motivates me a lot because
Yeah.
my dad died young, and I don't know if
I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
die young.
Yeah.
Probably not. But like that to me is such one of the biggest motivators is pretending like I only have that much time tells me it's like
Yeah.
this is and if it takes me 5 years to transition then it's like I've got maybe this much amount of time to be myself, which is I think the opposite of a lot of trans people as well. A lot of trans people, I think they're running away from, or not running away, sorry, that's a bad way to put it, but I've definitely met a lot of trans people who have a different view of life and death than
For sure.
me, where it's more like transitioning kind of saved their lives. But for me, I've always just wanted to just live life more, and for me it's all about just living life even harder than ever before. Like before I
Absolutely.
transitioned, I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
I liked myself, and I found something that made me a lot happier. And so I try to tell people, like, I think I transitioned for euphoria and not for dysphoria. I didn't even really have dysphoria until I started transitioning
Yeah.
and realized that I had body goals.
You know, I
But just
relate a
yeah,
ton to that sentiment actually. Sorry, not to cut you off.
no, you're fine.
But yeah, I totally relate to that. I had a lot of like dysphoria that I didn't recognize as dysphoria until I was started transitioning. But yeah, I mean, I was like relatively happy. I felt like something was missing. I felt like out of place. I felt like a lot of things, especially just like my whole life. I just kind of internalized it and blamed it on like personality flaws or something, or like tried to make it like my problem to fix.
Hmm.
And after like getting medicated for like PTSD and like other stuff and like dealing with like childhood shit, I still had like there's still just something there, and it wasn't like some people experience dysphoria so much more severely and seriously than I did, especially pre-transition.
Hmm.
And I don't not relate to that, but I definitely didn't. It wasn't like as disruptive as it can be for some people. Genuinely, until after transitioning, it's like harder to film videos now that I'm like I don't look like exactly
Like
the
once
way I
you
wanted
know,
to.
right?
Yeah.
This is why I could never like I feel so much like empathy for the people who are in the position of knowing that they're trans but unable to transition,
Yeah.
because like I both can and can't imagine the turmoil that you go through knowing but not being able to, because I knew how strongly I wanted to do my transition as soon as I knew, like
Yeah.
the same day. Like I was literally unwilling to not start transitioning that exact day,
Yeah.
and that's how urgent it felt to me. So I can just like it's another reason why I like to be a support network for people who especially they're in areas where they can't be themselves freely, and that kind of ache to be yourself. At least in my stream they can be themselves, and so a lot of
Yeah.
people like they'll come out in my stream, which personally
That's
I'm so like
beautiful.
proud of that.
Yeah.
It's like that's one thing I'm really proud of, is that people are able to like find themselves and find a place of acceptance that allows them to be themselves more often. And I keep saying, like, immersion, doing it more. The more you do it, the better your transition will be.
Yeah.
So like that's why I'm just particularly proud of that.
No, absolutely. And I mean, your effect just from like posting and like posting your timeline and posting like your results and how much you help people. I mean, that even affected me, just your like ripple effect, like indirectly, and helped me come out, like I mentioned earlier. So it, like, trans women are very powerful, it's very I have a lot of respect for wanting to put yourself like front and center like that. And I've tried to, as best as I can, given like I have like separate stuff going on with like just the delay to get like HRT, especially in a southern state, and like moving. I used to live in
Yeah,
LA
so
like not that
is
long
there a
ago.
big delay for you? Are you like on a wait
Yeah.
list? Is that
It's not a wait list. It's just I'm 25, and then like I was gonna have my lapse in insurance anyway later this year, but it happened
Oh, okay.
earlier. So I moved across the country from LA to Nashville, and now I don't have like health insurance. So I'm trying to figure it out as I
Got
go,
it.
just dealing with the whole process because I it all kind of happened at the same time. I came out like right before I
You
moved.
like just moved
Yeah, I was like in the
like
middle of moving
recently.
my shit when I was really
Dang.
like I was driving a U-Haul across the country and I was like I think I'm a girl. Like it was a
Dang.
very very weird trip, but it turned out, and I want to like as best as I can show that like I might not be on HRT, and I want to be, but I'm not racing to be, because even if I'm like boy moding for like my safety in the South or stuff like that, I
Hmm.
feel very empowered by at least, and I'm less feminine as I am like trans femme non-binary. I have a lot of empowerment approaching androgyny and like approaching femininity now than I ever did being masked and like growing out my facial hair or anything like that.
Hmm.
And I've considered DIY, especially being in the South, but I'm always like, I have to get blood tests anyway for other stuff. So it's something that I'm just like, well, I could get consistent checks and stay on top of it. And I don't think that's an impossible thing to do at all. I think plenty of people do that.
Hmm.
I also I'm really easily overwhelmed, and it's part of why it's taken a long time. Autism, ADHD, burnout, all that stuff. So that's why I also want to try to work closely with a doctor and find like the right kind of care. But like I said, I don't feel like I have to have it as a trans woman. I don't feel like I
Yeah, you
need
definitely
it,
don't.
and I
I
really,
know some of
yeah,
the most beautiful, some of the literally most beautiful trans women I know, like that would inspire gender envy in even the most cynical person,
yeah,
have not touched hormones. And like honestly, some of them have confided in me about how they're afraid to talk about it. I think that, it's one of the most interesting kind of dynamics of trans communication. There everyone, at least in the community that I'm aware of, will say, "Hey, you don't need hormones
yeah,
to transition." But by and large, like almost 100% of the people who say that message are themselves on hormones.
right.
So I do think that it dilutes the validity of that message
I
quite a
think
bit.
so.
And that even comes from me. I'm on hormones. So like some of these people are, they're incredible. One of the things that I would love to see more role models of trans people who aren't on hormones for any reason whatsoever. You don't need a reason to not be on hormones.
For sure.
Whether it's you can't get access to them or you just don't want to. I think it should be more normalized to just talk about your transition however it is, even if you're not
Absolutely.
on hormones.
Yeah, it's
Um,
different for
I
everybody,
think
right?
I think even recently, and this is actually something that even bothers me in the broader community of our discussions about transition is, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because
Sure,
it is a
yeah.
little like,
Discourse.
yeah, yeah. There's a little discoursey, but there are like, some that there recently was people call a detransitioner, at least on Twitter, that's gotten a lot of hate right now. But the way that the hate is directed is mostly directed at the fact that they never took hormones and then decided to detransition.
Right.
And I think the way that people attack this person, who I do not agree with their views at
No,
all.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, they
To be
suck.
clear, but what I also disagree with is saying that she didn't transition because she never did hormones.
Yeah.
So, which I don't believe is the case. I do think that social transition is transition.
Yeah,
I
I
think that,
100% agree.
yeah, even though it happens to be completely reversible, but I don't think transition, a requirement for transition isn't that it's irreversible.
Yeah.
Um,
I
you
think
know,
being like a detransitioner and then turning around and attacking trans people just is an
I
inherently
think that's what's
more,
messed up. Yeah,
yeah,
like
fucked up thing to do, regardless of what was the
that's
content of the
that's the fucked
transition.
up thing.
Yeah,
Is that you would understand and go through that whole experience of transitioning and then turn around and tell people that they're not valid for doing the same exact thing.
for sure.
So it's the hypocrisy is really what always gets to me about it, and I feel like that in and of itself is worthy of all the scorn. You don't need to. It doesn't need to become like a kind of medicalist thing.
For sure.
So that's why like I kind of like don't participate in that bashing
Yeah.
because in general I don't participate in any sort of engagement with anyone who has transphobic views because in large part they're just rage bait.
Yeah.
And
They get paid for that
this
these
kind of
days.
loops, yeah, yeah. And then, looping back to Zelda Universe,
Yeah.
there's actually like a very big like tie-in here of experience because well before I transitioned, another thing is that by heritage I'm Jewish.
Mm.
So early in Zelda Universe's life, between like 2005 to 2009, Z would be a frequent target of 4chan anonymous raids.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And yeah, so we would get hacked. People would take over the message boards and post the most unhinged, like, if people think that transphobes are nasty, just wait till you deal with real, actual Nazis.
Yeah.
Because, like, who are themselves many transphobes are, but they save the extra specially fucked up shit for Jewish people.
For sure. I mean, God, back in the day too, in like the early 2000s, 20 teens, and on the internet, it was just like there was no protections, there's nowhere to go to, there's no like, not that there really are that many now. If anything, there's like other ways where it's worse, where people get paid for like harassing trans people on X.com or whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah,
People
like
actually get paid for that? Is that a
I
real
mean,
thing?
you get paid for your engagement if you're a blue check mark. So
I
whatever
guess, but like
whatever gets
you get like
engagement.
pennies.
It depends on who
You
you
get,
are. They're
I mean,
pretty
I have a check
selective with
mark.
it.
I won't lie. I have a check mark. I'm sorry that
Oh
like
yeah, I mean,
like
if you
four
were
of my
posting
dollars.
like if you were posting like right wing conspiracies, you might make a pretty penny. I'm sure Alex Jones makes a couple grand a month on Twitter.
Really?
Oh, I
Dang.
don't doubt it.
I think I make like 2 cents. I
Yeah,
think I
for
make
like
like two
average
cents on
people,
Twitter.
it's
Thanks for the money.
you got to be using it enough so Elon Musk starts liking your posts, and then you start making a decent amount of money.
Ah, got it. That's what I gotta
It's
do.
pretty
I gotta be
slanted.
I gotta be pandering.
They're not very transparent about it. I'm sure if they were, it'd be really bad. But yeah, that's I think I always think about that when I see like rage bait or like fucking a lot of like the other day there's like a black kid fights white kid in middle school or something like insane shit like that. It's like bottom of the barrel engagement, Facebook slop. It's just when you post it on Twitter with a blue check mark, I always have that little thought in my head. I'm like, earning a little bit of commission on racism. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Or
You know what,
transphobia.
what was giving commission, like a lot of commission and was worth it to do it. That now I at least it stopped for me. I
Yeah.
don't know if other people are still getting this. Threads was paying bank
Really?
to post on Threads.
I had no idea. They really wanted people, huh?
Like full transparent. I was making $500 a month posting on
Wow.
Threads.
That's pretty good.
Like it was just like they just give you that for just posting whatever.
I had no
So
idea.
easy, the easiest money I've ever made in my life.
That's awesome.
And now they recently I think the program might have ended
Mm,
because it didn't renew for me 1 month, and I'm like,
sad.
there goes my magical Zuckerberg money.
Yeah. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. The
We covered so much. Oh yeah, so I was saying like
Yeah.
I was kind of talking about like how Zelda Universe got rated by those people. So like dealing with that has given me a very specific viewpoint about how to deal with online harassment.
For sure.
Which is to say that I just kidding. No, my Zuckerbucks. That has given me like such a different idea of how to interact with these people, which is to say like I don't. Like I have a
Right.
hard rule where you will just never like you'll just never see me respond to any sort of transphobic or harassment content. And I think
Yeah.
it's common for a lot of big trans accounts to not just quote that stuff and respond to it, but make quite a big deal of them responding to it. Make entire posts that are essentially clapbacks to transphobia.
Mhm.
And for me, like what that does to me is amplifies the message of transphobia. And I greatly dislike that sort of content because I think what it does is it just propagates. It makes transphobia seem, I think, like and I'm probably wrong about this. I will say I do live in my nice little Philly bubble. But it just makes it seem like it's everywhere. And I think if you surround yourself with it all the time like that, then of course it's everywhere.
For sure.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it is when you go outside and you interact with people.
True.
That is definitely highly dependent on your area.
Yeah.
But I think it's, I just think there's already too much people spending most of their time as trans people talking about transphobes.
Hmm.
And I know that it does good on the algorithm, but I think it does harm to trans people. I think trans people see that and they're
Yeah.
like, this is what people are going to think of me when I post. And it's like, no, no, I mean, people are going to think that about anyone. You know, there's always some sort of hater or whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, but the best thing to do is these people, what they're looking for is a reaction.
Hmm.
That's what they want. You know, when they were rating Zelda Universe and they wanted, you know, they wanted a reaction to them saying horrible things about how I was Jewish.
Sure.
Instead, what they got was the next morning, everything that they did would just be reverted, and then we
Was
change the
nothing.
password, and then there's
Yeah.
nothing, like no acknowledgement. And as soon as you stop giving them any acknowledgement, they go away.
Yeah.
That's why, like, you know, there isn't that much transphobia in my community. We don't often get attacked because there's nothing satisfying about attacking me. Like
Right.
you get literally nothing. Like there's just nothing. Like you're just instantly either banned or, you know, it's like if it's on Twitter or any other social media, the comments just immediately get hidden. There's
For
no
sure.
reply. Like there's just nothing. Like it could be clever and you know witty to do a reply to that. But it's like I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I just don't care enough about what there's like. They're not creative or interesting at all, and it's just like, what's the point of responding to that? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
everyone knows I'm a woman, and it's like I don't feel like I need to prove that.
for sure. I think, and like you said, sometimes it comes at like collateral damage. Zofagos also has a good point. My hot take is we're at a point where
Hmm.
trans people, unfortunately, are not the best advocates for trans people. We need our
I
cishet
agree.
homies to take up that fight. I also agree. It shouldn't be just in the hands of trans people because it builds resentment. It builds like a bad reputation sometimes because people do end up seeing trans people as like argumentative or like fucking like uppity in whatever way. And cis people don't need an extra reason to like, you know, have
Hmm.
prejudice against trans people, especially online when it's like fed to them directly. I also think like the most I would say is as far as like transphobic content online goes, sometimes for me especially, and this is like it's a mix of personal catharsis and it's what like it's like trying to set an example because I get a lot of people that ask me like what to say in this argument with their like transphobic parent or what to say in this situation. I want to like take apart transphobic arguments that from like the Matt Walshes and the Ben Shapiro's and stuff like that. Like I want to take apart what they're saying and give people a little bit of ammunition to de-radicalize somebody, and not like necessarily even a hostile way. I'm not looking for clapbacks. My partner and I were just talking about like this, especially on TikTok. It's the gotcha politics. It's the oh
Hmm.
I stuck it to you January 6th. I brought it up, and that's such a bad thing. And that's like, you know, it gets 100,000 likes from, you know, some blonde white kid talking about like, you know,
Yeah.
well, Derek Chauvin's in jail. Gotcha. Like, but it's so stupid, and it doesn't get anybody anywhere. It doesn't change minds. Like, I want to change that discourse when it comes to trans people as best as I can to just disarm the contentiousness that people end up having because they come pent up from social media. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and
That's my goal with it.
you don't need to like respond to that stuff in order to like
True.
prove a point. And I
Yeah.
think responding to that only like, you know, again, you give them that reaction. It just tells other people who want to troll you that you are available for trolling.
For
It
sure.
makes you a target and it makes trans people vulnerable.
For sure.
You know, it's definitely like when people, yeah, when people respond, like I'm honestly shocked at how many trans people I follow. You know, I will occasionally like see posts from them and they're like just straight up quoting someone. It'll be like, this is from someone you have blocked. And it's like, oh, you know, how do you not already have these like known,
Yeah.
you know,
Like
harassers
grifters
blocked?
and yeah.
Like why even keep like is there entertainment value? I don't personally think it's
For
entertaining.
sure. That's why I hate like those
You know,
Jubilee videos. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. It's like they
useless.
just want your attention, and once you give it to them, then it's like, you know, the buffet is open. They know they can come and comment on it. And the
Yeah.
more you do it, the more of your comments are just going to be the transphobes filling it up, hoping that you will react to their comment.
Yeah, they
Um,
want the attention too.
yeah, they want the attention.
Yeah.
So just like don't like this is like my lesson to like every transfer is like just don't give them the attention. Don't even bother because you will be so safe. You'll be so safe if you just don't even bother reacting and treat them like they're nothing
Hmm.
because they are nothing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jubilee is absolute bullshit. You're so right. And like
Yeah, yeah.
it's so funny because like I've had like friends of mine go on Jubilee, and I will never criticize them for that because I know they're like right, and I know that they would handle themselves correctly. But there are like 6 people I think on the planet that deserve to be on Jubilee and would actually stand up for things that I know are right. The
Hmm.
people that Jubilee fills in those fucking studios are just the most like brain dead grifter TikTok consumers on every side of every argument too.
Hmm.
It's like Sam Cedar's probably the most sensible person they've ever had on that fucking show, apart from Shonda Black and other people I know.
And all their videos are just setups, so it's
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's an
this is,
ambush,
this is why
basically.
like I would never agree to be on that because that's you're putting yourself in a position to, amplify a message that you don't
Yeah.
believe in ultimately. Like when your viewers watch you there, they will be exposed to like ridiculous bullshit.
Yep.
And like I do think it is the responsibility of people with platforms to not just be spreading that for clout,
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
definitely, yeah, it bugs the actual crap out of me the further and further I've gotten into my transition. It actually used to be something that I really enjoyed early in my transition. I used to love watching like reaction videos, like and I do still like I still love me a good Samantha Lux video, like
Sure.
love her.
Yeah.
But the further I get into my transition and the more involved I get in the trans creator space, the more I look at like reacting to transphobic memes, reacting to transphobic content,
Crazy.
engaging with transphobic content as
Yeah.
like just wildly irresponsible, just something that, it's not reflective of what most of society feel like. Most people are very indifferent toward trans people,
True.
or I think you were also talking about how it's like, actually I don't know if you were really talking about this, but it's like even people who are ignorant, I really do like to engage with them on an
Yeah. Same.
education level.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's
Diffusing
like,
it. Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. So like I've had a number of people come into the stream who, have commented that like, oh, they immediately got banned on other people's streams, but they were just sincerely trying to ask a question.
Hmm.
And they, the way that they ask it, they're not informed enough to ask it in a way that
Right.
doesn't sound transphobic. Like they might come in and they'll be like, are you a boy or a girl?" And that sounds immediately transphobic, but I can tell from the way that they're asking it that they're actually asking it respectfully and they just genuinely don't understand what the right way to go about that is.
For
So
sure.
getting some amount of sympathy, and humanity from me and just be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm a girl." And that's all there is to it. Lets them know that they can ask more questions and that we're friendly and that, we're just normal people who, you know, you're happy to chat. I
Yeah.
don't think it's the responsibility of trans people to educate cis people,
No, I don't
but
think so either.
I feel I have a personal responsibility, like I want to, because I would rather them learn it from me than learn it from Google.
Yeah, or Candace Owens or whoever else. Like,
Yeah, or whoever.
that's exactly how I feel too. Because being the kind of trans person, I mean, especially as white trans women, like who even want to, is not always the case. You know what I mean? Who have the like some people are just sensitive and they don't want to have those conversations, and they do ban those questions because they just don't even want to like open that can of worms. It makes them upset, and
Hmm.
rightfully so in some circumstances.
Yeah, totally. It's not something that's for everyone,
No,
and
but it
I
falls on the
definitely don't
people who
think
want
anyone
to.
should feel like they have to. Yeah, but if you
Yeah.
want to, you do a great service to trans people because we're a really small minority. There are so few of us. There aren't enough of us for everyone to have a trans friend to teach
Yeah.
them about this.
True.
It's just never going to happen. So those of us who are willing to have those honest talks with people who, are a little bit ignorant but well-meaning, those people then have a good impression of trans people to go and tell their other cis friends, and that normalizes things. But those are the people who we have to get through to and make them, just feel more comfortable with the concept and teach them the correct way to talk about it. And it's not especially complicated when
No.
they're coming
Yeah.
at it from a place of good faith. They're usually very quick to pick up the correct way. And yeah, I love it when people come into my chat and they'll say, I would have been banned on anyone else's stream, but
Yeah.
you talked to me and you taught me how it is, and like, thank you, you're amazing. And it's like that to me is like everything I could ask for.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. If someone can go through my stream being a little more understanding of someone they've never met before, someone they're told a lot about rather than actually like engaging with, that's exactly the goal. I 100% agree, and I really respect like wanting to be able to have that conversation because it's not always easy.
Hmm.
I got I was just talking earlier in the stream to one of my like MAGA supporter chatters that's like
Oh
always
yeah.
hitting me with like the biggest propaganda. He said there was a ceasefire in Russia. Like this guy's he's a little
Uh-huh.
heavy on the Kool-Aid, but he's never said anything outwardly racist or transphobic. Yeah, Male Rights USA is his username. But
Okay, they followed me.
oh, but there you go. I don't want that guy to hate me when he doesn't need to. If he's coming in asking a genuine question, like I'm gonna
Yeah,
answer it.
totally.
You're wrong. I'll happily explain to you ad nauseum because I love to yap.
Mm-hmm. Totally, totally. Yeah, I think if you're there in good faith and you actually want to listen and learn, then I want to talk to you.
I want to change
Um,
minds. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. I'm here to actually like. It's not even about changing minds because the
Yeah.
people who I want to talk to are the ones who are already ready to learn.
True.
Like if you're
You
already
can't do that for
primed to
people.
learn, and I can tell that you're ready for that,
Yeah.
like. Yeah, so Kitty Fruit says you're not required to be a trans Wikipedia, but if a cis person is asking in good faith and you feel comfortable, then it's very good to educate them because yeah, that to me is what's going to
Yeah.
change society is just having, normal folks.
I totally
Yeah,
agree.
normal folks, who just learn how to talk about trans people. I think that's so important. And any way that I can contribute to that positive and make a positive difference for other trans people. Like that's my whole goal, right?
Yeah.
I just want to use any amount of platform that I have to help other trans people in any way that I can. And I really feel strongly that it's like, again, coming back to Zelda Universe and
Yeah.
already having a public platform, when I started my transition, using it to do good, to let people know that you can run a large community and transition publicly and it's going to be totally fine, even when you're that in the public eye.
Absolutely.
So if I can do it with that much scrutiny, you can totally do it with way less scrutiny. So, like, and I'm having a great time. So
Yeah.
like I'm having such a positive, my experience with my transition is so tremendously positive. And, I consider it the best thing I've ever done in my entire life.
That's so great.
In many ways, it is more of my life. Like I think of this as my life now versus the life I used to have, which feels like a previous life at this point, like a weird
Yeah.
dream that I
demo.
had. Like when I look, yeah, like I look at, like honestly, like people comment on my timelines and they're like, I don't believe that these are the same people, and like honestly, I look at it the same way.
Yeah.
Like it gives me whiplash just the same as it gives everyone else because it happened pretty fast, all things considered. Is one day I looked like a bald 40-year-old dude, and then the next day I looked like this, and it's still kind of like you walk by the mirror and then I'm like, when did this hot girl get in my house? Oh shit, whoops, that was me. That's just me in the mirror.
And that's a great
Okay.
feeling. Like you deserve that.
It's a really amazing feeling. It's like, it's one of those things that I will never, for the rest of my life, I will never get over how incredible it is. Like it's just one of the most wild, crazy feelings on earth.
For sure.
It's so wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Also, everyone in the chat. I know we're not responding to like specific
Yeah.
chat messages, but I'm totally, literally reading everything you
Yeah,
guys
same.
are saying, and it's like literally making my heart swell with happiness. So I love you. I love you guys so much in the chat. But yeah, like just wanting to use my platform for something good, and hopefully I've been able to do that a little bit.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah, that's just all I can ask for.
Absolutely. Would you like to get a little bit into the Zelda discussion?
Oh yeah, the Wind Waker
real
thing.
gamer
We were
discussions?
talking
Yeah, gamer
100
hours.
years ago. 100 years ago we were talking about, so yeah, Wind Waker is how I got into Zelda.
Mhm.
That's the first so yeah, Wind Waker was what got me into Zelda. So late 2003 when I was in middle school, I played Wind Waker and I just absolutely fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Like so much so that Medley was my favorite character.
Cute, yeah.
So I like the first thing I did was I joined a Medley fan listing, and then I literally like assigned a Medley guest book.
That's
And then I'm
awesome.
like, I can't get enough. I can't get enough of Wind Waker, and I have to go. So I started like going on. I found Zelda Universe because Zelda Universe had content pages of Zelda about
Wind
like
Waker.
Zelda. I eventually was just like browsing Zelda Universe so much that I finally joined the message boards. Said hi, became essentially the most active member for a while.
Yeah.
And just eventually started writing stuff for the site, writing guides. I wrote the walkthrough for the Minish Cap.
Awesome.
which is still there on if you go to GameFAQs and you
Wow.
go look at the Minish Cap guides that are there. 2005, there it is by
That's so
Golden
cool.
Chaos is my text walkthrough. Like it's how you know I'm a OG.
For sure.
I have an ASCII text walkthrough of the Minish Cap on GameFAQs.
People still
Like
probably use it if you really
they
think about
still
it. It's
use
on the
it.
Switch Online service.
For sure. For sure it got views
That's
when
awesome.
it was released in Switch Online. So this goes even deeper into the lore of like why I love the Wind Waker, but why I have certain impressions about Ocarina of Time and why
For
it took me
sure.
so long to play. Because
Hmm.
when I joined and I was in the Zelda boards, like the Zelda universe community is split into like there's the Zelda universe, there's the Zelda boards, there's the Zelda message boards, and then there's the community message boards.
Hmm.
And like I think the Zelda message boards were known as the place where all the newbies went to talk about Zelda. And then once you get more into the community and you meet people, you like migrate to the community boards because you're kind of
Gotcha.
getting tired
Yeah.
of talking about Zelda so much. So when I was in the Zelda boards, I loved the Wind Waker and I would talk about it, and everyone would like make fun of me for that.
Because it was a little
Um,
controversial to be such a Wind
it
Waker
was
fan when
very
it came out.
controversial back
People were mad
then.
at that game.
People used to call it Zelda, like Celda, and they
Yeah.
would say it's a game for babies and that you should play a real Zelda game like Ocarina of Time. And I fucking
Wow.
hate gatekeeping more than
Yeah.
anything in life. And so this began essentially a 20 years long protest of me saying, nope, I'm never playing Ocarina. Like I've tried playing it. I don't like how it feel. I don't like the game feel. I don't like the physics. I don't like the
Yeah.
movement. Like, and if I don't like the movement, I don't like the game. And I'm just, I just never really got the motivation to play it. Yeah, what exactly what Marxist bastard said, game for babies. But what if I am a
Yeah.
baby? What if I am a baby?
I mean,
People
honestly,
hated on Wind Waker.
way too
Oh,
much.
sorry, continue.
Yeah, I mean, compared
Yeah,
to Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker's a way less linear game. Like, it's not Ocarina of Time really just pushes you forward like a roller coaster. It's the
hmm
baby game, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think a lot of people thought Wind Waker was for babies because
Yeah,
of the art style shift.
yeah, that's all
The
it
shift
was.
to a more cartoony art style. But here is the UI UX designer's perspective on this.
Yeah,
The cartoon art style is much better for usability. It honestly, like Wind Waker art style is still the most expressive, most usable of all the art styles they've had for
it's
any
always
game,
been my
including
favorite.
Breath of
Yep.
the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They had so many specific touches that only worked because of the cartoonish proportions of the
Yeah,
characters, like large eyes that let the characters have, expressive faces,
for sure.
or enemies that had expressive movements, that just these larger than life movements, making it a lot easier to telegraph
Yeah,
attacks. One of the things that one of those little touches that I love in the Wind Waker that just is eliminated from every other Zelda game because it's not very usable to do it because of the more realistic proportions, is when you enter into any area where there's something, there's an object of interest, Link's eyes will look
yeah,
at that thing.
totally. It's
And they
super ahead
removed
of its
that in
time.
Twilight Princess. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like that's such a wonderful addition, and it only works because Link has big fucking eyes.
Yep.
And it's that is why I love the style, because everyone thinks that it was for babies, but actually it's actually technically it takes a lot
Advanced.
more power
Yeah.
to render cell shading than it does to render realistic textured graphics, because all the textured graphics are pre-made.
Yep.
And they're using
Cell
baked
shading's all.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with the cell shading, they're doing it all in real time, baby. That's the real, and it ages so good. That's why
Yeah.
everyone loves it now, because it's aged great, and Ocarina of Time looks like poop.
They're not
But
even
like,
re-releasing the HD Wind Waker because it looks so good on its own. Just upres it and it's
I
fine.
I greatly disliked the art direction of the HD
I think a lot of
re-release.
people did. The bloom
I
and the
honestly always get the opposite
desaturation.
opinion.
Really?
I get the opposite. Like everyone always praises Wind Waker HD. At least when I see it, like people are like they love it. And just like
Yeah.
as someone who has played both, I think like it just the only thing that really bugs me is, well, two things. The excessive bloom lighting
Yep.
and the new lighting engine that they made, that in certain situations without direct light, the characters lose the cell shading and look like they're made of clay.
Yeah.
And I think like that is just like that should never ever happen in the Wind Waker. Like I never want to see color gradients in the Wind Waker.
Yeah, it
I want to
lowers the
see.
contrast, and that's kind of the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
That's what was
exactly.
so cool about seeing the, just to talk a little bit about the Switch 2, as much as it's, controversial in different ways.
Oh my
The
gosh.
contrast
Yes.
for seeing Wind Waker, the resolution was amazing. I'm sure it looks really good on
Mhm.
that screen. Like that made me really
Oh, great.
excited because I've wanted that GameCube online thing forever. But even though I know it's not the best way to play every retro game, but it's cool to have them portable like that. I like that a lot.
I think it's the best way to play, personally speaking. You've
Yeah.
got an emulator that's made by Nintendo, that's supported by Nintendo. They're gonna make sure that it runs to their specifications, and typically, they're pretty good.
Hmm.
Folks do say Steam Deck, which I also, I love the Steam Deck.
Yeah. Same.
I'll say up front, I love emulation.
Yeah.
I,
Absolutely.
I've been actually in the emulator community, and I've been involved
That's
in
awesome.
emulator development in the past. I do a
Really
lot of
cool.
different things that aren't
Yeah.
just all like specific to Zelda. Like back in the day, if you ever used an iPhone emulator called like GBA for iPhone
Oh, I think I
or
probably used that.
N64
Those
for
were so big.
iPhone,
Holy shit.
Zod TTD, who ran like the largest jailbreak repo for iPhone. I think he still does.
Holy shit.
He actually worked for me for a while.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was at the time. I don't know if he's taken other jobs, but at the time, this was 10 years ago. This is like 2012. I was the first job he ever took was working for me, and I worked with him on some of the icons. They never got released. I made these
Damn.
really cute little this was like right at the end of iOS 6 moving into like flat design, and I had this whole set of little icons that I made, and they never got released,
Damn.
but yeah, like working with Zod on all of the emulators and being a part of that community, the jailbreak community. I do really love that stuff, and that's also why I like Nintendo's in-house emulators so much,
I get
because
that.
I kind
Yeah.
of know what goes into it, and I know like if they're making it, then it's going to be to very strict
True.
specifications. I love that you get more options when you're doing like a Steam Deck, but there's something to be said about Nintendo making their pristine experience on their console with
Yeah.
their own engineers, and they know their hardware,
And it's
they know
not
what
that
they're doing.
expensive. It's like $50 a year for
It's not expensive.
all the services.
Yeah, yeah. Is that how much the expansion pack one
I think
is?
that's the expansion is
It's so
50. It's
worth it.
default
It's
20,
it's
but you
so
don't
worth
get
it.
N64.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's. I think the Switch Online service is one of the best like values in gaming, personally
I get
speaking.
that as far as like pay, because it's not a streaming service like fucking PlayStation Now or a lot of Game Pass titles, and it's actually running on the hardware, which is part of why it takes forever for games to come out. But at least
Hmm.
it'll work, and it's not going to be
They're
like,
testing it too. Like they're
yeah.
actually rigorously testing the
Well, I was going to
compatibility
ask.
of these.
Sorry. Do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
with the mouse function of the Switch 2, do you think they would do a DS and Switch Online theoretically? Because I think you could set up
Ooh.
you could have two screens and then the mouse could work as the stylus. I don't know. Maybe they're not thinking
I
about it, but it's what I
I
thought.
don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
You could play
And
DS
and
games on the Wii
here's
U, and
why.
I liked that.
It kind of does require the second screen,
True.
with the way that a lot of them are made. So you can see like what Nintendo has preferred with DS games is to redo them with a single screen UI,
Yeah.
which kind of only proves how useless the two screens
I know, it's
were.
such a gimmick,
The
but
whole concept, it
it
was such a
looks so
gimmick.
cool. So is Wind Waker still your favorite Zelda?
It is, for sure. I think I went back and played it again last year, for the first time in a while, and it was a lot shorter than I remembered it. I will
Yeah, it
say
is.
that.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, one updated opinion that I got was I kind of understood where people were coming from. No, it's true, guys. I invented Zelda. It's true. They actually just they based the model on me 20 years before I existed,
Nintendo
and
knew.
that's how I made Zelda. That's how we created it. But yeah, like that was one of the criticisms that a lot of people had when I was first on ZU, and I really hated them for saying that because I didn't think it was too short. But now when I'm playing it, I actually kind of thought it was a little short.
Yeah.
I was like surprised. Like as an adult, it felt a lot shorter. Yeah, yeah.
Wind
You
Waker
didn't know
famously has a bunch of
Shigeru
dungeons.
Miyamoto transitioned? Surprise.
That's yeah.
Surprise. It's
I was
true.
surprised Miyamoto wasn't at the Switch 2 thing. It was kind of weird not seeing him at a
That
console
actually
launch.
well, listen, he was way too busy announcing Nintendo Today. That was his
Yeah.
big segment. That was his that wait, actually that was Miyamoto who came on for that, right?
I
Yeah,
don't
that
remember. I
was.
think so.
Miyamoto came on for Nintendo Today.
Well, he's
I
doing all
thought
the
it was going
theme
to be the
parks.
Zelda movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be him talking about the Zelda movie, which actually Chill TV has thoughts on the Zelda movie release date getting confirmed. Yeah, it was actually confirmed on the Nintendo Today app. So if y'all haven't
Oh yeah, I
heard
forgot about that.
about the release date of the Zelda movie, the official release date is March 26th, 2027. So just a little under 2 years now.
Let's hope we make it.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I think Nintendo is being very careful with these movies, and Mario movie was very good.
Yeah, I
you know,
heard
it's not
that.
like the most stellar movie of all time, but it's certainly like really fun to watch and definitely like hits all the marks of what I think a good video game movie should have, as well as like so many references to the games while also kind of carving its own path, you know, for its own story. Like I really love the Mario movie for that.
Yeah.
I like Sonic 3 more than the Mario movie. I think Sonic 3 might be my favorite video game movie of all time.
Nice.
If you guys haven't seen Sonic movie 3, like I'm a really big Sonic fan in my heart. Like before, fun fact is before I was in the Zelda community, because the lore just keeps going back and back
Yeah.
and back. Before I was in the Zelda community, I was actually in the Sonic community. I was in the
Nice.
Sonic fan game community,
No
and I was
way.
making Sonic fan games.
That's so
Yeah, I was on like
awesome.
Sonic Fan Games HQ. I had a demo in Sage.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I like built a fan game with one of my friends in Sweden, and we had like a little fan game company.
Cool.
And we made a demo, and the demo was in Sage 2004 and 2003. Like this is like 2003. This is so like well before I was on Zelda Universe.
Yeah.
I was you know in 7th grade working with my Swedish friend.
That's ambitious,
and,
though.
You know, it was
That's
and
so
honestly
cool.
at the time it was easily the best Sonic fan game ever.
Awesome.
Like easily, if we had kept it up, we would have been like the Sonic Worlds engine. Like it would have been,
Wow.
it would have been like that. And it had a lot of really cool functionality. Like Sonic could change size. There was a lot of
Cool.
realistic like gravity. There were a lot of cool like effects that we had.
Sorry,
that, like,
Jack
ran
Black
very,
should
very
play
smooth.
Navi.
Oh my God, yes.
Listen,
I love that. I am listen.
I'm a fairy. He would just be so. It'd be so
I
bad.
am a fa-
They should
Jack
get
Black
Peter
for Tingle.
Dinklage. Yeah, Jack Black for Tingle, Peter Dinklage for Link.
This is a master. I haven't seen Minecraft movie yet, by the way, guys.
Me
I have
neither.
not seen.
Yeah, no spoilers.
I want to see it. I want to see it. Oh, my cat is saying. My cat wants to say hi. This is my
Cute.
cat Finn. This is my cat Finn.
Oh,
Hello, Finn. Look at this baby. Look at this happy baby.
so happy.
All right. Kitty break. This is a little kitty break. This is Finn.
Very
This
cute.
is Big Finn. Hi, Finn. Everyone says hi, Finn. Finn, you have fans. You have Finn stands. We all stand Finn. Mango, however, does not want to say hello. All right, y'all are going to get a treat. Because not only is Finn here, but Mango, my Chungus boy, my other Chungus boy, is currently resting comfily on top of my PC. So you're about to see, I'm going to show you guys my PC with Mango on top. Okay, here,
Ron's drinking.
we're gonna look at this. We're going on handheld cam mode. All right, behold, the Chungus and
Oh.
Bean.
I
The
bet it's
big
warm.
Chungus baby. Oh, it's super warm. They love the top of the PC. This is Mango, everybody.
Aw,
This is Mango.
That's
Oh,
cute.
the baby. Hello, my baby. Hello, the baby. Oh, the baby. The adorable baby.
I'm sure chat really appreciates the cat break.
Yes, I hope everyone loves Mango. If you're in my chat and you follow me, I have emotes for all my cats. You can put my cat's face in the chat.
Cute.
So if you have the emotes for my cat's face, drop them in the chat, yo.
Mango's
Oh,
in chat.
Mango.
W
Big
Mango.
baby, Mango's in
Hey,
chat.
yo.
W for Mango.
That's so awesome.
Oh, let's give you butt pats. I recently learned Mango is a butt pats baby.
Aw.
He loves butt pats. Oh, there he goes. No,
Oh,
he's like,
Ronan's
not
here
on the
now.
PC,
Here he
mom.
is.
He's like, not on the PC, mom. And I'm just gonna flex my cool gaming PC.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Here we go.
Did you build that?
I did. I built it on a. I did a 22-hour stream to build this thing.
Yeah, I did that too. It was like 24. No, I don't know how long it was. Someone in the chat was just walking me through it the whole time, but it took a really long time.
Mango, don't eat the. Don't
No.
Eat the cable. Don't eat the cable. All right, I'm gonna do one more flex, and then I'll put the camera back on.
Okay.
One more flex.
Oh, nice. That's
That's on
awesome.
my wall. There it is. And the guys, this is a real. That's a real.
That's the
master
real
sword and Hylian shield. Mango, do not chew the cable. It's actually sharp. It's combat ready.
Cool. Just in
made
case.
I actually created. This is more just designer stuff. Is I worked with a blacksmith in Canada.
No way.
They're heroic replicas. This was in 2016. We spent from 2014 to 2016. We spent 2 years designing a real master sword based on models from Skyward Sword.
That's so
and then we
cool.
spent another 4 years after that designing the shield.
Wow.
And he sold them for. He actually. I let him take the designs from that commission and use them to like sell to other people because like at the time there were no good master sword replicas.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I wanted one really bad as a kid, and there were just like dog shit ones from like random websites.
Yeah, there was
And
just
the ones that didn't even look
only dog shit ones. Here, actually, give me a sec because I have to do this. This is obligatory. Yeah. I have to go get through the magic of having 2 of them.
Imagine being a robber and getting taken down by the fucking master sword. Yeah, killed, executed, evil smited. I want to be taken down by the master sword. All right, calm down.
All right, here we.
Wow, gorgeous.
Oh,
holy shit.
Here's the other. You can see it up close.
That's a real ass sword. That's
real,
so cool.
It's a real master sword.
What the fuck? Yeah, if someone robbed your house, they'd be fucked.
It is real. It is sharp.
Chop someone in half.
What if? Yeah, this is thieves who would want to rob my place.
That's right.
Yes, Finn.
Look out.
I will protect you. I will protect you, Finn. At least I can cut my grass easier. It's really good
True.
at cutting grass. Plus, you get money when you cut the grass. It's crazy. Money just flies out of the ground. Everyone should have one of these. Really top tier, especially for the money thing. What if you're there to rob the sword? Well, I have 2 of them. I'll fight you with the other one.
Yeah, try to grab it as you're getting stabbed at.
And then I also have all of these.
Yeah.
You know what? 3 of them.
Oh, shit.
Let's go.
Armory.
Let's go. Toe to toe. You know what? Just for that, 4 of them.
You could juggle him at this rate.
You really think you can take me on? You really think?
Oh god, be careful.
Link has nothing on this. I'm making a ceiling fan out of these.
Tri-sword.
Tears of the Kingdom. I'm gonna ultra glue these together.
This is so awesome. That's what the movie's gonna be about.
Link wishes. You know? Honestly,
That's awesome.
Honestly, Link chosen hero for only having 1 master sword.
How chosen can he really be?
How chosen can he really be? If Master Sword is so great, why aren't there 2 of them? Huh?
You can't argue with that. I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom? Because I might have spicy thoughts on that one.
I have spicy thoughts. Okay, are they really spicy at this point?
Are they? I don't know what the sentiment is.
I think this is actually the consensus opinion, is that Tears of the Kingdom is kind of mid.
Yeah, it's so samey. I didn't even finish that shit. Because it's like, why didn't you add any more weapons and armor that are different? Damn it.
Yeah.
That's all that I cared about.
It's just very, I love Breath of the Wild, but it was just too much. It was too similar, I think. And they didn't address my main complaints about Breath of the Wild.
Mine neither.
I still didn't like the dungeons, which I don't even remember any of them. They were just so, and they were so easy to cheese. Like I love. I think Nintendo calls their concept multiplicative gameplay, which is the philosophy of you should have many ways to solve a single problem.
Very Kojima.
And they've given talks about it.
For sure.
But I also think that this direction has in many ways destroyed a lot of the things that are fun about figuring things out in games.
True.
And also just makes it too easy to just cheese things.
A handcrafted puzzle is still really valuable.
Yeah, handcrafted puzzles are still really, really fun. And there just aren't very many of those. And you could say it's not that there aren't very many of those. There are lots of handcrafted puzzles in the shrines.
For sure.
And I actually think like my biggest praise for Tears of the Kingdom is that the shrines are a lot more fun
I agree.
than the shrines in Breath of the Wild. And I prefer doing the shrines in Tears of the Kingdom. I
And
also think they're a lot prettier. So
yeah.
I like being in the shrines. Like just like honestly, I want to live in one of them.
It makes me
Um,
mad because if Tears of the Kingdom came out first, I would have just played that. And then, because like Breath of the
mhm.
Wild, I did every shrine. I didn't even like them that much, and I did every shrine. I don't want to do it all again in Tears of the Kingdom, even if they're different. It's just like I went on this whole world
Yeah.
already like 3 times. It was out
Well,
for
I think
7 years. Like, of course.
I think like also Breath of the Wild does a lot of things better than Tears of the Kingdom
Yeah,
because it's so focused.
it
And it's
is
just a lot more like, they stripped away a lot of things and they focused on the essentials, and it really benefits from that in a way that Tears of the Kingdom, like it hurts Tears of the Kingdom,
for
where
sure.
they tried to do too much, the game is too big, and they lost a lot of focus in order to make it bigger, and it
When they filled
wasn't
it with
better
stuff,
because it
yeah,
was bigger.
they filled it with stuff that
Like,
was already in the previous game. Like the whole
mm-hmm.
when it really clicked in my head that almost everything in the like lower level of Tears of the Kingdom is just the amiibo items, I lost my mind. I was like, dude, I
Yeah.
had these already from just scanning an amiibo before. Like, why are you
Yeah,
just
and
recycling them? Damn it. Anyway, sorry.
I skipped the entire depths actually. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. I'm very like when it comes to what Zelda games I like most, and I can tie this into my opinions about Ocarina of Time, which I haven't mentioned this whole stream. I think we're at the point where
Yeah.
I can finally say,
Yeah.
I like the Zelda games with good stories.
Mm.
Which okay, on one hand, none of them have good stories. They all of the stories are so basic.
Hmm.
But I think for my money, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword
Yeah.
have the best stories in Zelda, and I like things that are emotional. I like things with plot twists. You know,
For sure.
and I like getting invested in the characters. And there just isn't very much of that in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. The story really takes a huge backseat to gameplay. In Breath of the Wild, it's basically non-existent,
Yeah.
and in Tears of the Kingdom, it is just presented in a way that I think hurts the story significantly.
Yeah, having every
You know,
like post dungeon cutscene be the exact same was a really weird choice.
Yeah, they do a lot of things that, it's clear that they actually did plan out all the lore and that they have it, and then they deliberately chose to just not put it in.
They don't like
And
telling you it.
it's incredibly frustrating
Yeah.
that they can't tell the story. Like I want to see the story. I want to not feel like it's this weird mysterious thing. Secret
Yeah.
Stone, Demon King. Like seriously,
For sure.
the lore was there. It was just hard to find, and I didn't like that. Like I'm not saying it needs to be spoon fed, but like the cutscenes in the story are really great. It would be awesome if you couldn't accidentally spoil it for yourself
Yeah.
by seeing the wrong memory, or just like the story with Zelda is so compelling, and this is a trend that started with Skyward Sword, and I hate it, and I really want Nintendo to stop doing this, which is they give the more interesting story and environment to Zelda in cutscenes.
Yeah, and they don't follow
Um,
her through the
and
game at all.
and they don't follow her through the game.
Yep.
In Skyward Sword, Zelda had the way more interesting story of being sucked down to the surface and having her entire like life upended, and then having to travel around with
True.
Impa to become a goddess. And like that's really cool and interesting.
Link's just chasing her around the whole
And Link's
time.
just like following her around. It's like,
Yeah.
Link is just like following her around. In Breath of the Wild, like, honestly, I think the entire story of Breath of the Wild is so boring.
Yeah.
That like I don't even really pay attention to it. Like
It was a
I don't
function
get
to
the,
like reboot the world, right? And they didn't. And
yeah,
then
it
the
was
Tears
just
of
like
the
a
Kingdom is
world
just that
reboot.
again. Like, what did you reboot the world for
Yeah.
then?
But in Tears of the Kingdom, they did put a bigger emphasis on
True.
the story with Zelda,
Zelda,
in the
yeah.
past. But it was actually so much cooler than what you're doing in the present. And I just the
Yeah.
whole time just like, wow, why can't I play that game? Like I
Yeah.
want to play that game with Zelda in it. Then Born asked, does that mean I'm interested in Age of Imprisonment? Yes. If you go like go watch my
Yeah.
reaction to the trailer, I
That
was
makes
losing
sense.
my fucking mind because like that is the game that I want to play. I don't even like the Warrior series, but for the story of what actually happened in the past, and
Yeah.
they've confirmed that it's the canon story. I am gonna play the shit out of that game.
I
I'm
preferred
so
the
excited.
I think I prefer the first Zelda Warriors game, the non-canon like
Hmm.
ensemble one, just because it's so fun and like over the top with like Skull Kid throwing the moon on a bunch of guys. That stuff makes me laugh. Like that's I wish Zelda had a little more of that kind of like fan servicey element. Even like playing as Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom is something like people almost like expected. They were like, it's time. Like,
Hmm.
and I liked Echoes of Wisdom. I haven't finished it yet, but I liked it a lot because I really liked
Oh yeah, yeah. Echoes of Wisdom I haven't finished actually,
yeah,
which is crazy.
I know, right?
I actually got to play. I got invited out to Nintendo to play an
Whoa, cool.
advanced version, which is really cool. One of
That's
the coolest things
awesome.
I've done. And even though I played that, I still haven't finished the game now. So it's like everyone actually has experienced a lot more. There was like a few weeks period where I could be like, guys, I know more about
Yeah,
Echoes of
that's so
Wisdom than
funny.
anyone. And then it's like, nope. And then I never finished it. I think, I had 2D Zelda games. Again, I'm much more interested when they have like a good story.
Fair. I like to link
The
between worlds
story
a
for this
lot.
one did not. Yeah, A Link Between Worlds actually is one that I really wanted to finish, but I suck. I suck hard at 2D Zelda. I
Oh
won't
yeah, I
lie.
get
I'm gonna be
that. Me
real.
too.
I'm gonna be real. I am the worst
It's
at 2D
harder.
Zelda.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than 3D Zelda. But for my money, Minish Cap. Obviously, I wrote the walkthrough for that, but like Minish
Yeah.
Cap is peak for me. It's got a great story. The best sprite work. It's a really lovely game. So that's my personal favorite 2D Zelda, and the one that like I'll go back and
That's awesome.
I'll actually play that one. But I do want to finish Echoes of Wisdom, but I feel like the art style. I felt this way about Link's Awakening too. It is a little bit sterile for my taste. There's just
I get
something
that.
about it that
It's
feels it's
very
just a
like
little bit like
dolly, like toy
yeah, and
coded,
I
and I
like
kind
the
of like
toy
it,
stuff
but
like, E3 stories. So E3
oh
2019. Yeah, I used to go to E3 every year.
yeah, R.I.P.
If you
E3.
want some, if you want some, yeah, I know, RIP. It needed to die. It really did.
Yeah, it
It
was
was,
done.
listen, E3 was there were so many things that were wrong about E3.
Yeah.
Not just, the things that you guys probably know, but also the culture of
Yeah.
gaming. E3 being very representative of the terrible misogynistic culture of the video games industry, which it was always shocking to me that even Nintendo would participate in these like very misogynistic trends where you
Like
would go
marketing.
like yeah, like the marketing like or like have like lots of booth babes and they
Yeah.
would literally like they would have they would have like hot women who know nothing about the game with like a chain around their waist that was tied to a 3DS, and they'd walk around the booth and like
What
get
the
to
fuck?
play 3DS. You'd stand there with them like tethered to chain to their waist.
It's like one
Like the
step
most
removed from a
ridiculous.
Silent Hill encounter.
It's literally like weird. Like yes, no, that actually was a thing. For many years they did this. For many years, like Nintendo would
Gaming
do this,
moment.
and it
Wow.
was incredibly strange to me
Yeah.
because like you'd have the small developers would show up and the actual like game developers would be there and they'd like talk to you about the game, even for some Nintendo games, and then it's like
By the way,
you yeah, by the way, also these randos, like just I guess, to have enough like spots to play, but you could have at least filled it with people who knew anything. Like
yeah.
and
It's
it
Nintendo.
was
People will
very
go to the thing.
mm-hmm.
Put Mario
Yeah,
on
but
there.
this was industry wide,
Yeah.
and it was industry wide, and so there were a lot of things
Crazy.
that were kind of disgusting
Yeah.
about E3. And I was very ready for it to die when it finally did die. But that said, at E3 2019, Nintendo's booth had a Link's Awakening display where they physically made all the toy dioramas from the game.
Oh, cute.
And it was actually kind of amazing. I took tons of photos of it. It was very adorable, and I definitely loved it. The E3 2016 Breath of the Wild booth, where the entire Nintendo booth was just Breath of the Wild, and they
Hmm.
turned it into a little Hyrule, like a little Great Plateau,
I remember that. It was so
with
hype
a
at the
Temple of
time.
Time.
Hmm.
Like being there was honestly like an unbelievable experience. I got to go up to, they had a little VIP area where like more
Really
like
cool.
employees could go,
Yeah.
and I have like a few friends, so they'd like get me up there, and I got to like, just chill in the upper area and just see the whole thing. And wow, zowie, that was actually like one of the greatest experiences, especially when the people had to like run to get in line, in the
Yeah.
morning, every morning for that. Like I've never
So
seen
cool.
anything like it ever since. If you watch Polygon's video from that time about the stampede
Yeah.
of
To
people
go
trying to
see.
get into the Breath of the Wild line, you can find me and the Zelda Universe team in the
Oh, nice.
stampede. We're there. So like, oh my gosh, I have so many crazy E3 stories. I will always miss E3, but I also
Yeah.
won't. The other craziest E3 story that I'll tell for lore's sake is E3 20, was it 2013? This might have been 2013 actually. I was at the time I was a startup bro, no lie. I was literally a startup bro, and I had a startup company where I was trying to make an education service. And one of my investors happened to run a marketing company that developed that would go and like, design and then build the booths for E3,
Cool.
for companies. And one of their clients that year was Tecmo Koei. So this was before Hyrule Warriors, by the way.
Oh, nice.
So this is when they were just working on Ninja Gaiden, and I was like, I don't give a shit about
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden.
And like Nio and Dynasty
Um,
Warriors and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we, me and my two co-webmasters at the time got there, and we met up with the representative of the company that was, we're currently working on the booth, and they like signed the three of us up as construction workers and snuck us in like a
Cool.
few days early, so we
Yeah.
got to walk around, and actually like we did see the Nintendo booth before we were allowed to.
That's
You're not
awesome.
supposed to, but they had the whole thing like draped with white cloth so that no one could even get a peek.
Wow.
But let's just say that the wind blew just a little bit in the room, and the drape kind of turned to this moved
Just
to
a
the
little
side
bit.
for a bit, and we saw Super Mario 3D Land
Cool.
and A Link Between Worlds. We saw them. We saw the posters. And like, oh,
That's
we know the name
awesome.
of the new Zelda game now. We know what they're calling it. And we didn't leak it because they would have known it was us
Oh,
if
yeah.
we leaked it. And I would have never been allowed on the E3 show floor again.
Nintendo would have
But
assassinated you.
we yes, but we did prepare all of our posts for the next day in
Awesome.
advance with the name. So like that was crazy. And then later on we did, when once the show floor opened, we did meet up with the Tecmo Koei team. We met all of them. They were all very, very nice. And they asked us if we wanted to like go out for drinks with them and stuff. And I didn't care about Ninja Gaiden, so I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
It was nice to meet you guys. And then literally like the next year they got the Hyrule Warriors
Damn.
thing. And I'm like, I could have gone drinks with them. Damn it! I would have known.
Could have told you.
Only I would
Yeah.
have known.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh, these are like crazy, crazy times. It's weird to like think of what I even like looked like back then too, because
Yeah.
like my brain wants to misremember me as a girl back then, but I was not. I was not at all.
I get that. You're like, well, people
Hmm.
weren't treating me the same.
Yeah. Honestly, I get treated a lot the same.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't had an experience where, I mean, like obviously there's your standard misogyny and stuff,
Sure.
but like in terms of how I get treated professionally, I would say it's exactly the same.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. I've had a wonderful just professional experience transitioning, and maybe that's just because I've been, I just have such a career track record. So it's like, I think at a certain point the track record just kind of carries it, and so I
Yeah, I
don't
get
get
that.
like, you know, yeah, I don't get a lot of people who, yeah, like, a lot of like my cis women friends will talk about how they get like spoken over or have their ideas claimed, by men.
Totally.
I'm really fortunate that I just don't get any of that, because it's like, are you're gonna mess with me? Like you're gonna fucking mess? Like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You little baby. You
That's
wouldn't
awesome.
dare. Yeah, it's just like I just have no, like I'm like it like yeah. Yeah, so I don't take that shit, but I don't often get it because they know I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna lay down and just take that stuff.
Well, that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you have a reputation for defending yourself because it's important, I feel like.
Definitely. I mean, it's see when it comes to like shit that isn't like harassment, and it's like what I'll do is
Yeah.
I'll defend like I'm defending my work, right?
Right.
I think that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're gonna mess with me? I have a sword.
Yeah, three swords. More than
Exactly.
that.
They all three. So many more than
Too many
that.
to count.
I have so many more. I think in the barrel there's like 14.
That's awesome.
That's my miscellaneous sword barrel.
I had a bunch of swords as a kid. My mom was always giving me shit because she'd be like, "You don't need another sword." Even after I would get rid of some to like go get another one, she'd be like, "You have plenty." I'm like, shut up. When I was like 10.
Oh my God. Yeah, I got these swords? When did I get them? There's the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair.
Yeah,
that
that's where I would
happens
get
every
mine
year.
too.
I love the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. Oh my God. They used to have this thing called the pirate auction.
Cool.
I was probably like I was probably like 25 when I got these swords, maybe 26. So like 10 years ago. And they would do this pirate auction at the end of the day where they'd make like big bundles of swords and replicas and stuff and like discount them very deeply. The last one was always the biggest bundle, and for some reason this bundle had every good sword ever in it.
Cool.
Yeah, every. So I honestly, like, it was literally like 12 or 13 swords, and I bid 600 on it and I won.
Nice.
Like, it was so cheap for all those replicas.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like just one of the master swords that I pulled up, the real one, like those heroic replicas sold those for 1,300 each.
Damn, that's such a good deal.
So like, yeah, so that one sword cost like more than twice as much as the entire barrel.
Yeah.
So I got a good deal on all these swords. It's pretty nice.
That's
There's
awesome.
a lot. You need more swords? Share? Yeah. See, when people are like, you
Yeah.
have to bring enough for the whole class, it's like,
Sword
well,
dealer.
I do. I brought enough for the whole class. I have enough swords for everyone. It's customary for if I have a guest come on in person on my stream, like they sit in my room, they gotta pick their preferred sword.
That's awesome. Yeah, at some point maybe I can go up to Philly. I love traveling to go see friends and people because
You should please.
I got people all
please come
over.
to Philly and hang out.
Yeah, it's not a
open,
not a crazy
open
drive down
offer.
Northeast. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I have a very comfy couch.
Nice.
We'll
yeah,
have
I
a good
appreciate that.
time. I'll take you to the gay clubs. I took my
Oh, that'd be
mods
fun.
out last night I took them out Philly gay clubbing.
That's
We had
awesome.
a fucking great time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, girls trip. Like I'll
Totally.
show you my stomping grounds.
That'd be awesome.
I have my route.
Well, is there anything you want to shout out? I was gonna end it here. It's been amazing talking to you.
Yeah. This has been incredible. I'll shout out Zelda Universe. If you want to follow Zelda Universe's socials, we are twitch.tv/Zelda Universe TV, and on Twitter we are just at Zelda Universe. So please go follow Zelda Universe.
Absolutely.
If you want to follow me, so Zelda Universe obviously focuses on Zelda. If you want to follow me, and at which I focus more on the trans stuff. If you want to follow me, I'm at Golden Chaos everywhere except here on Twitch, where I am at Jess Rappaport. So Golden Chaos on Twitter, Blue Sky and Threads, Jess Rappaport here on Twitch. Yeah, and there's my link tree. Prism, thank you for posting my link tree there, so you can check
we
me
got
out
it.
everywhere. I stream 3 times a week. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I typically go for like 4 hours and we just talk about whatever. So if you want to talk more about trans stuff with me, or Zelda, or anything, follow me
please.
and we'll chat.
Thank you so much, Jess,
Yeah.
for coming on.
This was amazing.
This was awesome. I would love to have you on another time to talk more Zelda, a little more casually.
Anytime.
Obviously first time meeting, but I wanted to get kind of just like I don't know. I like having conversations. Like I said, I don't want only right-wing podcasters to be the only people having conversations and doing discourse and talking about, shit people do care about. So I really appreciate
It's nice
your
to
time.
just talk about happy stuff. Like,
Yeah,
that's like my whole plot. It's
absolutely.
nice to just talk about happy stuff and be joyful for a little bit. It's like a little vacation. That's
For
like
sure.
that's how I like to live life. I'm on a permanent vacation.
That's what being trans feels like, in case anyone was wondering.
That's what trans joy feels like. Trans
Yeah.
joy feels like your whole life is an amazing vacation. All right? That's why I
sure.
love my life. Right? Like, my life is dope as fuck. And it's so cool that I get to live as me and be be me. And I'm so excited for your transition too.
Oh,
Someone
thank you.
earlier said that, you're going to also be that kind of role model for someone, and they're absolutely right. And
Oh,
I'm
thank you very
so
much.
excited, for your journey too.
I really
So,
appreciate that, and I appreciate the
yeah.
inspiration you give not just me, but all kinds of other trans people. Thank you so much for what you do as well with Zelda and with your identity, and being a positive role model and a healthy person, providing a good safe space for people. It's really important.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.